We're back. Another episode of Bad vs. Good movie fights. Today we ask, were the fights in the new Mortal Kombat movie any good?
Get over here!
Also, we got some of the best South Korean movie fights. And in light of the recent Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson fight, we look at a couple of Mike Tyson's movie fights in China Salesman, starring Steve Seagal, and Ip Man 3 with Donnie Yen. And how does David Fincher make fight scenes so visceral? We analyze the incredible Fight Club.
Rules: no shaky cam, no choppy editing, no guns. Let's do this.
Okay, one thing that the 2021 Mortal Kombat movie cannot be accused of is not having enough fights. It's got plenty of fights. 99% fights and a 1% story.
Cute. Real cute. Let's see you try that again.
Because this movie is kind of crap. Now, I say that with a degree of disappointment because I really wanted it to be good. I was excited. Again, it has plenty of fights, but are they good? Well, this is the opening fight of the movie. I mean, I don't really know. I'm kind of stumped here. Feels like something is a bit off with this fight. Can you guys work it out? I've watched it a few times in preparation for this video, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I think I've found it. I think it's the cuts. There is a cut literally every 3 seconds. Every impact has a cut. I mean, this scene isn't awful at all. It's just also not great. But is it good? Well, maybe. Here's another. This one is not good. It's slow, cumbersome, and visually unappealing. Pretty cool ending though. Here's another. Same problem. Slow and loads of cuts. So there is a pattern forming here. The editing seems to be a little off-kilt, not very rhythmic, and way too pronounced. It's like you can almost telegraph when an edit will happen. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. And after a while, you just know the beats. Think of your favorite songs ever. Do they do something a little different, or do they repeat themselves? If your answer is that they repeat themselves, then you might just love these scenes. If you like things a little more complex and more challenging, then these fights aren't for you. Now, I personally prefer my fights to thrill me a little bit. These fights don't thrill. They just mildly entertain.
Get over here!
And this is the big fight in the movie. Scorpion versus Sub-Zero. 2 big enemies. To which we are greeted with this line. Which is not great, and I'd say pretty bad. It's neither poetic nor does it have a deeper meaning. It's more that he's just stating a fact. Look, I am dressed in a black all-in-one suit and holding a red lightsaber to kill you. That was my Darth Vader impression. But this isn't called bad movie dialogue versus good movie dialogue, so let's move on. I have a problem with this fight. The context is rather poor. I mean, we've spent nearly 2 hours watching this movie, which Scorpion isn't even the majority of, and then, when he does appear, this is his contribution. And he doesn't even win the fight. He doesn't even get the revenge he deserves. This film does something similar here as well. When this character, created purely for the purpose of the movie, is saved by his partner, a character who really isn't important. It's a recent movie trope that needs to go. It really just needs to go. I hate this trope. The fight itself is fine. Just fine. Honestly, this could have gone crazy with some wild moments, but it's just too far self-serious. And the filmmaking is point and shoot by numbers. It's certainly not a bad fight, and it's also not bad filmmaking at all. However, it's also not good. It's just fine. One movie that isn't just fine is Parasite. It's a movie full of drama, comedy, and suspense. And the thing that I most remember is this. Parasite is severely underrated for its movie fights. As a director, Bong Joon-ho is underrated when it comes to good old fighting. From Memories of Murder, to The Host, to Snowpiercer, to Parasite, this guy knows how to shoot a fight. But it was perhaps this incredible scene in Oldboy that first notified the world to how great Korean cinema is for movie fights. It is a scene that we've waxed lyrical about in this series before. Now, many people think that Oldboy is an action/fight movie. It actually doesn't have that many fights in it at all. There's another fight scene in Oldboy that really stands out. Director Park Chan-wook is a visionary master when it comes to filmmaking, and this scene is tremendous. After the just fineness of the Mortal Kombat movie, this film puts everything into perspective. Look at the craftsmanship in this film. This is just brilliant. The attention to detail is masterful. The subtle cracking of the window here is fantastic. And this wide shot is beautiful. The Yellow Sea is another gem. It's hardly spoken about or discussed, but it does have this really cool fight scene. If you've seen the horror film The Wailing, this is the same director. The Yellow Sea is a pulsating, terrific film about immigration between China and Korea, framed with some great action. That's why this moment in Parasite really stands out. It's because it's so shocking and a film that plays with your emotion, using an excellent script that swings from genre to genre. The excellent thing about Korean film, and the reason we're focusing on them, is that the fight sequences are 99% of the time in service of the plot, rather than the other way round.
간다.
Even this action-heavy masterpiece of a film that is Train to Busan, the action is always in service of the plot, with the plot driving the action as opposed to the action driving the plot.
나와.
Unlike a lot of modern American action movies,
Cover us.
and modern fighting seems to be plagued with this issue, even on platforms like YouTube.
Tyson requested the 2-minute rounds, wanting to see more action. He just landed the
Now, maybe some of you are too young to remember Iron Mike from the 80s.
Scoring system if the rounds wind up even, and the 3 knockdown rule is in effect.
Mike Tyson is maybe the most ferocious and feared boxer of all time. Whether he's the best, that's a matter of opinion. But no other boxer in the history of the sport has ever been as feared.
And Marvis is hurt. Razor is down.
He was untamed, ruthless, and looking for blood in the ring. So the sight of seeing this close to 60-year-old Mike Tyson fighting what amounts to be a pretty amateurish boxer in Jake Paul was sad. Because Paul was actually just toying with him. Tyson got 18 punches in compared to Paul's 78. It was a shambolic joke and a really depressing moment for the sport, which has sunk to some new lows over the past few years. But Mike Tyson in movies is a different thing altogether. Now let's have it right. Outside of a film camera, lights and a boom operator, Mike Tyson in his prime would eat both Steven Seagal and Donnie Yen for breakfast. His weight class compared to Yen is incompatible. And well, Seagal...
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
Which is why the narrative for both of these scenes is largely in favor of the leading man. In China Salesman, Seagal comes across as Neo in The Matrix. Dodging punches and dishing out clinical blows. But it doesn't hide the fact that both men are old and using non-stop body doubles throughout the scene. Now, what's our number 2 rule for these videos? No choppy editing to cover up actors you cannot fight. This film is the classic example. The choppy editing does mask some of the deficiencies of the actors, for sure, which I guess actually is a good thing here, because without it, this scene would be a right old mess. Fundamentally, it's flawed, and at the end, Tyson actually kind of wins, I guess. I mean, really, no one wins. No one comes out of this debacle in shining lights. Compare this to the equally gimmicky moment in Ip Man 3. And some of the flaws are actually present here too. The only difference being that Donnie Yen can actually fight, and the director is Wilson Yip, who directed the other Ip Man films as well as SPL and Flashpoint. So the pedigree is there. Visually, this fight has way more flair than this. And this is actually a great moment. This movie plays into what I spoke about previously. In real life, Mike Tyson would destroy Yen. Well, a younger Mike Tyson would anyway. By leaning into his public persona, it does add an element of the unknown to the scene. You're left wondering if Ip Man actually will lose. And again, as I've stated in previous videos, Donnie Yen is actually a very good actor. The fear and the doubt he exhibits in this scene adds to the uncertainty. And much like the Seagal scene, it ends in kind of a stalemate, I guess. Maybe more so than the Seagal scene, in fact. All this makes me think that maybe Mike Tyson may have a non-defeat on camera clause. Now let's face it, both of these two scenes are way better than this.
His final victory was against Clifford Etienne, the show of respect. That fight lasted 49.
If this debacle of a fight was indeed scripted, as people say, then it was a shit script, which is sad. And if it wasn't scripted, then it's just appalling, which is also sad. A sad, sad night overall. I, for one, can't wait to see the Jake Paul versus John Jones fight.
Kick to the body. Caught. Down.
Speaking of YouTubers versus professional athletes, as I know you guys love a tangent, the iShow Speed versus Noah Lyons race was a lot closer than I thought it would be. The rematch would be very interesting. We learned a lot about Speed that night.
That was a tie. That was a tie.
Let's watch the video.
That was a tie.
Where's the video?
Was that not a tie?
Nope.
And this also takes us nicely into a new segment which is called Movies This Week. This is where I talk about what's been happening in the world of movies this week for a whole minute. First up, Disney have again released information into the public that is gonna rage bait the fans with their claim that Rey Skywalker is the only good character left in the Star Wars franchise. It seems like they're doing this on purpose to get fans to react so they can gauge where they're at in terms of a new trilogy, rather than actually just, meaning what they're saying. So maybe this whole article actually is just them rage baiting the fans. Who knows? Hey, but I'm still waiting for that Ray and Johnson trilogy. You get me? Red One was released last week with a disappointing $32 million opening on a $250 million budget. That means this movie will not make its money back through its theatrical release. For context, Wicked, the prequel to The Wizard of Oz, will be released this week and is estimated to make $100 to $150 million on its opening weekend, on a budget of just $145 million. And that is over 2 separate films, part 1 and part 2. That's 3 to 4 times as much in the opening weekend that Red One made in just 1 week. Maybe The Rock just isn't the big box office draw that he used to be. The jury is out.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
It seems like Havoc, the Tom Hardy starring Gareth Evans movie, will finally be released. Yay! Production started in 2021 on this film, and with extensive reshoots and post-production, it seems like it will be released 4 years later in 2025. Evans, who directed the Raid movies and also 2 episodes of Gangs of London, and did create it as well, speaking to Empire magazine, says it was worth the wait and he and Hardy will bring the havoc. It seems like this one will be exciting, maybe more exciting than Andor 2, eh? Lastly, this is my 1-sentence review for the movie The Substance. It's okay, I guess. Performances are good, and we seem to be in an era where female directors are making a lot of body horror movies, a bit like David Cronenberg, or even I would go as far as saying David Lynch. We had Detained by Julia Ducournau, Love Lies Bleeding by Ross Glass, and now this movie. It's an interesting pattern by female directors and something to delve into another time. I'd say this movie is a 6 out of 10. I have a review of The Penguin Season 1 soon. Right, that was longer than a minute, I'm sure. Next time, it'll be 1 minute, guaranteed. There's one question in life that has always stumped me.
How much can you know about yourself? You've never been in a fight.
It's a great question. How many fights have you been in? In the comments, let me know if you've been in a fight before. But there's maybe a question that is even more pressing, and that is, how does David Fincher make fight scenes so visceral? This man is a master of imagery. He perfectly crafts his scenes with obsessive precision. Nothing is left to chance. Every single thing is intentional. Every crunch, every slap, every tooth smashed, every fist making impact. He doesn't play in the grays. He's one of the most intentional filmmakers ever. His craftsmanship is designed with the very intention of making you feel a certain way. He can do flashy, but chooses not to. He can do poised and still, and mostly does. But in his recent film, The Killer, he chose the right moments to do the opposite. Creating yet another visceral fight. His choice to go handheld is a rare choice for this director, and again, it was the right choice. But one fight stands out more than any in his filmography.
I want everybody out of here right now.
Hey, you should join our club. Did you hear what I just said? You and your friend.
What starts off as Tyler Durden, played by Brad Pitt, being annihilated sadistically.
Lou. Come on, man. We really like this place. That's right, Lou. Get it out. Shut up. Oh, yeah!
Does this remind you of anything?
Nothing to threaten me with.
Slowly becomes a twisted power play that evokes various emotions from the onlooking disciples of Tyler Durden. A fight which is won not through fists, but through a character's sadistic nihilism.
You don't know where I've been. Please let us keep it low. Play it alone. Fucking use the basement. Christ! I want your work.
A wonderful fight that knows what it wants to do and how it wants to do it, as well as when it wants to do it.
Thanks, Lou.
Fincher is one of the most elite directors ever, which is why he can go from a moment like this to a moment like this.
It's in the box.
And have the exact same hard-hitting impact. So, how does he make a fight scene so visceral? He applies intention. And intention is exactly what you need to make a fight scene go from, well, this to this. So that's another episode done. You guys are awesome. I love you. I absolutely adore you. Thank you for all the kind words. Everyone who comes on every week and makes lovely comments. And those of you who have just seen these videos for the first time, big welcome. Let me know who you are in the comments. As well as that, in the comments, let me know which fights I should cover next. Hit that like button, please. And big love till the next one.
What are you doing? Oh God, no, please, no!